欢迎大家收看世界日报举办的2021年秋季教育线上讲座。我们邀请到全美大学成功攻略创办人 Dr. Simon Chan 陈兆新医学博士为大家演讲申请法学院、商学院、研究学院的培训重点。
Hello, I'm Dr. Simon Chan. It's such a pleasure to be with you again. Every year, I have the opportunity to talk to you concerning how to help young people to get into their prospective college, professional school, graduate school, and also future career. Today, I will have the pleasure to talk to you about application success strategy. It doesn't matter that you really want to be a medical doctor, a lawyer, a business person, a veterinarian, a dentist, or just a scholar of a particular discipline. I still think that to get it to be 100% successful, able to get to the school that you really want, application success strategy is extremely important. I've learned a lot about admission processes from my days at Princeton, and then after my graduation, I continued to help Princeton, which is an Ivy League school, to help students to get into Princeton. At that time, my work was mainly to recruit students from China, mainly from Beijing. Thereafter, after I got into medical school and then later on become a medical doctor, I also helped New York Mount Sinai Medical School, Los Angeles, UCLA, to help admission office to screen students and also to give opinion on how to make sure these students will fit into either Mount Sinai or UCLA. I learned so much from the admission process. Today, I'm no longer doing admission processes for these schools. However, what I learned became a very successful strategy for a lot of my students because now I use one-on-one counseling, one-on-one coaching, one-on-one consulting method to make sure that my student will have a one-of-a-kind application success strategy. My success rate with students so far is 100%. It doesn't matter if my student want to go into medical school, law school, business school, or dental school, or graduate school in general, we're always able to get them to a top choice. For me, I love studying, okay? I love reading. So after my medical degree, I worked for about 5 years on the west side of Los Angeles in Beverly Hills. Interesting enough, after about 5 years, I noticed that I do know a lot about medicine, but I don't know a lot about society. So therefore, on the weekends, I went back to school to study a master in business, a master in management and public health, a master degree in group psychology, and then last was a master degree in law. Now I can say that I do know about society much better in respect to business, law, people, etc. I enjoy studying, so I pass it on to my students. Let's start talking about law school application. The best law schools in the United States has always been about the same range of school. Yale always number 1, Stanford, Harvard about number 2, number 3, Columbia number 4, University of Chicago about number 5. The key is here. The average GPA for student to be able to get into these top universities, law schools, would be around 3.8, 3.9. The LSAT, the law school test, is about 170, 172, 173. Yale usually require a lot more than other schools. The acceptance rate would range anywhere between about 8% to about 20-some%. So I always joke around with my students. I said, well, going to law school is really not that hard. The competition is 10 people apply, at least 1 get in. But for medical school, I always say for every 20 people apply, maybe 1 will get in. So therefore, going to law school is really not as hard or as competitive as going to medical school. But that doesn't matter. It's really about your interest, whether you want to study law or not. The other top university, they also do the same. GPA requirement around 3.7, 3.8, LSAT around 170. Admission rate is still around 10 to 15, sometimes as high as 20%. For example, look at Cornell, it's 19%. It's really not that hard to get into law school in that respect. To become a lawyer, to be successfully admitted to law school, many students think that it's really about they're able to argue. They love to argue, especially with their friends, with their parents, and they win every single time. So therefore, to be a lawyer is the most natural career for them. Is this a myth? Is this the right thing to do? In my opinion, no. Because to be a successful law school applicant, to be a successful law school student, to be a successful lawyer in the future, you must have logic and reasoning. You must also understand what is justice and what is the truth. Many people argue that there's no truth in the legal case. It really depends on how you argue the case. I kind of agree, but I also disagree. For society's purpose, we have to protect justice and truth. By doing so, you must know logic and reasoning. It's not just because you know how to argue. This is a very interesting case. Way back in 1974, during the Watergate scandal, the Supreme Court actually rejected Nixon's, former President Nixon's plea. In 2 weeks, Nixon had to resign. The Supreme Court said that we are here to protect the nation's justice, but not allowing the president to use his very ultimately and significantly executive power. This is a clear demonstration that the nation, the country, the society need to use logic and reasoning to protect justice and truth. Nixon, he did lie in this process during Watergate. Mrs. Liebeck sued McDonald. She got $2.7 million suing McDonald on a third-degree burn after she spilled a cup of coffee on herself. Sounds great for the plaintiff. Doesn't sound very good to me, and doesn't sound very good for logic and reasoning, and doesn't sound very good for societal justice. There is a truth, but where is the justice in this case? Lots of military soldiers sued the company called 3M. During the Afghanistan war, the Iraqi war, thousands of soldiers came back to the United States and filed lawsuit about hearing loss against 3M because they were using so-called defective or maybe not so defective earplugs in combat. So they lost hearing. $9.1 million as a settlement. Not a huge amount of money, but is there logic? Is there reasoning? Is there justice? Is there truth? I think for law school applicants, law school students, future lawyers, you must protect the society with justice and truth by logic and reasoning. So therefore, to go to law school, you must love reading. Your reading comprehension skill is great because you have to read a lot of law cases. Your analytical skills, your writing skill need to be A+, because after you analyze a case, you need to write the law case. You have to present to other lawyers. You also have to present to the judge. You need to have divergent thinking. From one point, diverge into many possibilities, and from many possibilities, you need to converge back as a final judgment. Who's killing who, right? So therefore, in this process, besides your school GPA, you must also understand how to crack so-called the LSAT, LSAT. Business school. Top US business school today is no longer Harvard, actually Stanford, and then UPenn Walton School, and then Chicago, University of Chicago, and then Northwestern. Harvard no longer number 1 and is today number 5. It doesn't matter. Los Angeles downtown is packed with Harvard MBAs, packed with Harvard lawyers as well. It is not that hard in going to top university business schools. The average GPA anywhere between 3.6, 3.5 to 3.8. GMAT is about 720, 730. Acceptance rate is anywhere between 8 to 9% to about 20-some%, almost 30%. That means one applicant will get in out of three. 3 people apply, 1 will get in. Law school, no, about 10 people apply, 1 will get in. Medical school, 20 people apply, 1 will get in. So it's really not that difficult to go to business school, isn't it? And then the rest of the other top 20, they all do the same. The requirements are still about 3.5, 3.6 GPA. Average GMAT is about 720-ish. Acceptance rate is still around 1 out of 3. Many students think that they want to go to business school to get an MBA is because they want to invest in stocks. They want to make money. They want to make money. And they will want to make more money. Would this be the right reason to go to top MBA schools? No. In order to go to Harvard, Stanford, University of Chicago Business School, you need to know how to vision the future. You need to know how to invent for the society. This is extremely important. Create a trend for the society, use your imagination, and create a want and a need. It's not just to fulfill some kind of requirement, but you have to create a future. You have to create a future for the society. You have to vision what the society needs. Successful business is equivalent to creating a want, a need, and a trend. It's not just to fulfill a demand. Many years ago, or maybe even today, we're still pumping gas in automobiles. Elon Musk started around 10 years ago. He bought out a company from 2 engineers from Stanford University. He created this company. It's called Tesla, Electric Power Cars. In the future, we need to clean the environment. In the future, we need clean power. In the future, it's from imagination to create a want and need that we have autopilot as well in automobiles. Tesla is definitely leading the future. So, successful planning for business school, you have to know how to solve problems. You have to have leadership skill. You need to be the one who see the future. You also need to have management skills. Management of what? You need to know how to manage people. You need to know how to manage money, of course. Your career aspiration need to be clear. Your business experience need to be very well maintained. Okay? You have to find the right direction for the society. It's not just about the good old game about making a lot of money on investment of stocks. Veterinary schools. The top U.S. veterinary schools include UC Davis, Cornell, Colorado State, North Carolina State, et cetera, and also later on we'll see University of Pennsylvania. To get into veterinary schools, you need about 3.6, 3.7. The average GRE is about 150 to 160 out of 170. Acceptance rate is anywhere between 10% to about 20-some%. Again, in my opinion, it's not that hard. Not that hard, not only because the opportunity is not that difficult, it's really, do we have the right people to become a veterinarian doctor? The myth is, I love dogs, I love cats, I love pets, so therefore I should be a veterinarian doctor. In my opinion, no. Wrong reason. Because to become a veterinarian doctor, you have to love animals. That is only the basic requirement. But at the same time, you have to build a relationship with animals. You need to know how to preserve their lives. Many animals are disappearing from the face of the earth now because of natural habitat and natural selection. We need to know how to preserve them. We need to know how to conserve their lives. We need to build a relationship between humans and animals. We need to build a compassion on how to coexist in this world on earth. So therefore, successful planning You have to have practical experience with animals, not just a farm, not just an animal shelter. Maybe you also need to travel internationally to see different types of animals on the face of Earth. Some of them will be still maintained, some of them will be near extinction. You need to observe how animal can communicate with you because we definitely use different languages. You need to know what is the profession need from you because too many times disease transmission can be between man and animals, but most importantly, there's one requirement is that too many times as a veterinarian doctor, you have to tell the parents, the family, that this particular pet, this particular dog, this particular cat need to be put to sleep. Because dogs, cats, etc., they always live a shorter life than human. So veterinarian doctor, not just to give them health, veterinarian doctors also need to give them the end of life. Dental school. Many students want to be dentists, okay? And today, Harvard still number 1 in dental school ranking, New York University number 2, Alabama number 3, UCLA, UC San Francisco number 4, number 5. Not that hard to go to dental school. Your GPA is about 3.5 to 3.8. Your average DAT around 20 to 23. 30 is the maximum point. Acceptance rate is anywhere between 5% to about 10%. So just right next to the competitiveness of a medical school. To become a dentist, many students said, I want to restore the oral health of people. I love to work with my hands, so therefore, wow, I should be a surgeon, I should be a dental surgeon, I should be at least a dentist. Yes or no, in my opinion? Because you also must understand that you must have good eye-hand coordination, so therefore your manual dexterity, both hands, not just one hand, and also your knowledge of spatial arrangement. Because human mouth is only so small, we're already putting 2 hands into a person's mouth. How do you not able to become a successful dentist without eye-hand coordination and manual dexterity? So sometimes I joke around with my students, oh, you're a pianist, you play beautiful piano, you use both hands, right, when you play piano, you'll be a great dentist. It has some truth to it. In the preparation, you must love what's going on in the mouth. We don't have that many teeth, by the way, okay? You must craft, you must train your hands to be very skillful, including fingers. You have to love art because to restore a person's oral health is almost like a piece of artwork. On the other hand, you must love dental technology. There's so many new science and technology in this society now. So therefore, dental technology today involves a lot about stem cells. Do you know how stem cells can work with the body? Do you have actual experience in shadowing, in community service and volunteering? Do you have it also in the laboratory? And most importantly, do you understand that too many times patients really want to regain the self-confidence and the hope when they have full mouth of teeth? Graduate school application, there's so many different kinds. Today, we'll not have a chance to talk about PhD programs. But overall, the general principle is that from your fundamental knowledge, you must have real-life practical experiences. At the same time, you must demonstrate your expertise beyond the ordinary, beyond the norms, and you have to reinvent for the society of the future. You cannot sit comfortably and say that this is all I do. No, as a professional person, you have to see what the societies need and want of the future. These are the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. Their job is very difficult because they have to break the norm, they have to reinvent the society for the future because they have to judge certain controversial cases and make sure there is logic and reasoning and make sure there is justice and also truth when they preside these cases. Nike, breaking the norm. Microsoft, reinventing the future. Amazon probably did do both breaking the norm and also inventing the future. Facebook, breaking the norm, the first platform for social media. PayPal, reinventing the future. Google probably did do the job of both breaking the norm and reinventing the future. I'll be surprised to find out that which student, which person does not use Google in our society today. Suni Lee, I admire her. She's only 18. She's a gold medalist in the women's gymnastics all-around competition this year, 2020, in Tokyo Olympics. The key about her is that she is the first Hmong American Olympic gymnast. If I ask 100 people, do you know the word Hmong? Do you know where's the country Hmong? Do you know where the Hmong people reside? I would guess maybe only 10 people would know who are the Hmongs. Hmong people carry a very unique culture. They were Southerners, Southern people in China originally. Later on, they resided somewhere close to Laos, close to Vietnam, close to Thailand. However, during the Indo-Chinese War of the 1960s, the Hmong people were used by and actually enticed by the American government as well as CIA to become soldiers and spies against the Laos, against the Vietnamese. So therefore, the communist Northern Vietnamese actually create a huge massacre, a lot of killing of the Hmong people in that region. So they have no choice. The couple million, 1 to 2 million people actually became refugees of the United States and many different countries. The Hmong people actually reside in Northern California, in Merced County, in Sacramento, and also in Minnesota, in the Midwest. Hmong people are not very famous because their so-called countries already disappear from the map of the world. However, the traditional Hmong dance is very similar to gymnastics. Maybe that was the motivation for Suni Lee to become a gymnast. She's so proud to present and represent American athletes. But very interesting is that when she was young, she had a lot of challenges. She specialized in uneven bars and balance beam. She said in an interview, she said, I focus more on bars and beam just because these are my strongest events. And I just try and maintain whatever I can do on floor and vault. And most importantly, I am still consistently training on all events to contribute to my US team. She did not forget about her other teammates, but for herself, she focused on uneven bars and balance beam. And by the end, she definitely did contribute to the U.S. team in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Suni Lee, among all the competitive events, from her unique differentiation, she maintained and she caught her competitive advantage. She's a Hmong American in Minnesota. When she was young, her father actually had to build a balance beam in the backyard for her to practice. I guess the family situation did not allow them to buy one. But as of the Tokyo Olympic of this year, she got a gold medal in women's artistic individual all around. She got a silver in women's artistic team all around, and she got a bronze medal in women's uneven bars. She's amazing. She's unique. She definitely is one of a kind. Because she said, I believe in myself. I believe. The word believe is extremely important. From an ordinary ethnic group, the Hmongs, she's now a gold medal Olympic winner. She said, I believe in myself. So breaking the norm, reinventing the future for the society is extremely important. I always taught my students, if you have a vision, you will have a dream. If you have a dream, you will gather a promise. When you have a promise, there is a future. There's a future for yourself, there's also a future for the society. Because becoming a lawyer is not just about arguing. You have to preserve the society's justice and truth. Becoming a business person to go to the top business school MBA is not just about making money from stocks. Your job is supposed to see the need and want of the society, and you create a condition where people can be benefit from your invention. To become a veterinarian doctor is not just about maintaining life. Unfortunately, sometimes you also have to create end of life for your beloved animals. To become a dentist is not just because you're great with your hands. Too many times, actually, for your patients, you are giving them back their hope, giving them back their dignity, giving them back a beautiful appearance when they have a full, beautiful mouth of teeth. I'm Dr. Simon Chan. I'm a medical doctor. I take pride in teaching my students to go to top professional schools and top graduate schools. I help them to see that society needs certain type of students, not just for ordinary. They need to know how to break the norms. They need to know how to reinvent for the future. Once you're able to see that, you have the ability to create need and want as well as reinventing for the society. Your chance to go to these top professional schools and graduate school essentially will be secured. I'm proud to say that my students, doesn't matter if they apply to law school, business school, veterinary school, dental school, and other graduate schools, our success is always 100% because we see things differently. We're here to break the norm, and we're here to create for the society for the future.